divided amongst the other departments. And of that, primarily 5 million of the 12 goes towards maintenance and maintaining our facilities. The rest is divided amongst curriculum and just general administrative costs throughout the district. And we are required to adopt a budget by September 15th, so.
Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Ward.
So Ms. Casey, what's our plan to get out of the deficit?
Um, I've given several different plans to the board, and y'all all voted to continue to operate in the manner and use our fund balance to continue day-to-day operations. So, Ms. Wanda, I would say, I'm not real sure what the plan was. I don't know what you had in mind as far as
No,
continuing forward if you're not gonna accept the recommendation that staff is giving to get out of the budget.
Their main suggestion was to reduce the student-teacher ratio.
But that's not the only place we can cut.
But that, again, I sat down one afternoon and I cut out $500 just by thinking like this. But sometimes you get resistance, you know, and it might not happen overnight. But what we need to do is look at the budget. And I'm just saying, Steve Fusilier, he's getting towards the end of his career. Mr. Fusilier, when are you gonna be retired? May 1st. Okay, May 1st is his retirement date. We're preparing not to replace that position. We're gonna have to divide the responsibilities up among other people. That's how you gradually do it. And it's gonna be a workload on more people, but hopefully we can get the budget within balance and also offer better raises at that time. So that would be my thinking, but it's a gradual process. You can't just snap your fingers, because what happened, they cut some of the positions. We had Mr. Oche serving in the cafeteria line, volunteering, because we're shorthanded cafeteria. You know, just things like that, you know, and different board members. I know.
I'll be there. So
And,
I'll help
you
out.
know, and no offense, but we're gonna cut a $20,000 salary, whereas we can look at an $80,000 salary. And that's how corporations do. They start from the top and then work down. And then the last resort should be your student-teacher ratio, because the teachers have to deal with the parents, have to deal with the kids every day. That's my say on it.
Well, how much money exactly are we losing in students?
This year, from our original, for 24-25, from our original budgeted MFP to the final MFP, we lost 700,000 due to a decrease in students.
And you see, we're losing students, so why are we increasing in supervisors
And staff.
or staff? I'm just saying, the staff.
I thought it was more than that. Where is it on this sheet? I thought when we talked the last time, it was more than that.
Well, part of it was due to charters that brought it, like when you actually looked at our total MFP, part of it because the amount going to charters went up, but the amount specifically associated with losing students was 700,000.
I thought it was like, I thought you had said like maybe 2 million or something.
No, the amount to charters went from 1.5 this year and is going to 2.2 next year. I mean, that's,
But what about the other students that's missing, that not just the charter school from the previous year?
oh, Ms. Wanda, I don't know about where students, that's a total enrollment decline. And so our MFP is made up of the number of students we have and the amount of money that we send to charter schools. So when I talked to you, there was a difference in our grand total of MFP. 700,000 of that is directly a result of losing students. The other portion that was made it go to like 1.2 million was because we sent more to charter schools than originally budgeted for. So in total, the number might have been 1.2, but you just asked me about loss of students. And so the decline in enrollment created a $700,000 difference in what was budgeted for MFP and what we actually received.
So with the simple cuts that we made, because how much money did we save? Did we save any money? by not filling those other positions?
Yeah, we did, because I mean, we still took out a director position, a supervisor position. So those two things, we saved money because we reduced the non-certified salary schedule another $2,500, so that helped save some money. And there were a couple of other things there, but I mean, those would have been the three biggest ones on that list of things that I gave y'all that were voted on that created the biggest savings.
You didn't really save anything because the individuals have accumulated days and you're still paying them and they're not here. So you're not really saving anything.
When they retire and no longer work here, we will be saving their salary.
It won't be this year.
Well, one of those individuals is retired in July, so that person is no longer here.
And I spoke to one Sunday and you got 50 more days.
That's impossible because he's retired. I don't want to speak about everyone, but that's impossible.
But we can talk about that.
But we did save like 1.5 million when you.
No, that was the proposal, was to save 1.5 million, but we didn't get anywhere near there.
You remember what the final?
I honestly don't. I mean, 600,000 of it was a result of student-teacher ratio. So if you take that off, it's definitely under $1 million. And there were a couple of other things that y'all didn't accept, like maintenance and a couple of other things.
Okay. So do we want to?
Well, I have something to
Go
say.
ahead. Okay.
We always was in a deficit as far as budget. And for the last 5-6 years, you can remember 2019, 2020, we was at a surplus budget and a $1 million deficit. You can recall that case a few times where we came up ahead. So we have to just wait and see what happened at the end of the year.
Right, but if you look at what we budgeted for this year and where we are ending this year, the deficit got larger. So I don't expect you're gonna close a $2.3 million
Right.
gap this year.
Well, we control those fees from the DSEC case. You control a lot of them.
Yeah, that is a significant expense that we have.
But, I mean, we need to somehow, and maybe Mr. Boye can get with staff and see if we can have some type of recommendation to see how we can control those costs, because it's like, I mean, I can still remember one situation where they're charging us and sometimes we don't realize they charging us. And that we need to probably get a hold of, one way or another, because you control that, you control a lot of the costs. And I know there's gonna be a lot of conference calls and everything, but limit them. Tell them you have X amount of time, and that's it, that's all we're paying.
And sometimes we try to avoid that, and you try to do it via email. But from my understanding, it costs even when you email, because from
Oh, he's
email,
reading it.
reading and then doing research based on the email that we send, so.
An attorney like him, he's not gonna do that. Them, the big corporate America, they're gonna charge
Yeah,
by looking at it, you know?
it's an expense, I will say that.
Anything else?
How many students do we have enrolled, Miss Christine? Is it like 5,000?
About 6,800.
Yeah. 6,600.
66?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, make a motion to accept. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Potteet. Second,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Abear. Let's vote. Motion passed. Item 2B, consider and/or recommend action with regard to allocating bond funds.
Whenever this was originally proposed, when we were looking at, what projects were gonna go on the ballot, the board never formally adopted a way for us to, divide the money up. So we really can't start moving forward with projects until we know how much each area is allocated, and no one has given me any other ideas, so I'm representing what I presented originally as a method of dividing the bond funds up so that we can start moving on projects.
The only thing that we had requested was that like the HVAC, if we could do a student ratio. HVAC, the HVAC.
So take
room,
that 6,500,
6,500 and allocate it according to your students.
so add it back into,
Well, you keep it like it is, but have some type of budget within the budget.
okay.
And listen, it's not, it doesn't have to be concrete, but it just gives us an idea of where the money is gonna be flowing. It's not just sitting there. At least you, and I'm just saying, you have allocated 2,000 for San Martinville, 3,000 for Breaux Bridge. And then if need be, just come back to the board and need it in this area.
Yeah, as long as you leave it at, because that's one of those areas we've always left in a general bucket because you don't know where those needs are gonna arise, or no one presented a list of needs to me that says, you know, this is what this area needs or that area.
I'm just trying to
needs.
prevent what happened.
Yeah, I would think the HVAC needs to stay with the parish wide.
Yeah, well, it's still parish-wide, definitely parish, but what I'm trying to prevent is what happened with those roofing situation. You got a roofing in Cecilia and one in San Martinville that was in the original conversation with the last project manager, all of a sudden it vanished. So we had to come back at the end of the project, and if you remember, we had to address those two needs.